Hello everyone, Michael the Librarian of Magic here, finding and cataloging the magical and pointing you to it. Today is October the 15th, halfway point through the month already. It just flies right by. And I have another villain drawing, same way as I do every day, and will have another one for the rest of the month. So thanks as always for watching these ahead of time, and please join me each day as I do another one of these for the rest of the month. Today's villain is kind of a smaller role, a deeper cut, Monsieur Dark from Beauty and the Beast. It's a very small role, but an impactful one, I think. One that kind of stuck with me the first time I watched the movie, and one that I enjoy every time that I watch it. He is the proprietor of the local asylum in the story, and basically he gets roped into Gaston's plot. But Monsieur Dark here demonstrates that he is pretty dastardly in his own right. Gaston is not at all... he doesn't at all sugarcoat it when he tells him his plan. He basically straight out tells Monsieur Dark that his plan is to have Belle's father, Maurice, committed to the local asylum unless she agrees to marry Gaston. Unless Belle agrees to marry Gaston. And Monsieur Dark says that he actually loves the plan and gives out a laugh, like he's enjoying being a part of it. So he's pretty terrible. You can tell that he's supposed to be kind of evil and smug and not great just by the look and design of the character. And the sound of him, which I'm going to detail a little bit about the voice acting. Monsieur Dark was portrayed by the late Tony Jay, who was involved in a lot of Disney projects. I'll list those in a minute. I've talked about Tony Jay a little bit before in another video, because he played Claude Frollo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and actually did a drawing of Frollo for the last season. If you click on the playlist at the end of this video, you can go see that one. And I talked a little bit about Tony Jay, but I'll talk a little bit more in detail about some of his roles, because he was involved in a lot of Disney stuff, as well as, other various voices. He had a very distinctive, deep voice. He was a British guy who came up in the Royal Shakespeare Company, so he had a very effective cadence, very well and clear spoken with a deep baritone voice. He auditioned for this role. It was a pretty cut and dry affair. When he got the role for Monsieur Dark, he recorded all of the dialogue in one day. It's not a very big part, but what you see in the movie was recorded all in one day, and it was the day that he auditioned. So actually, I think it's pretty impressive. To me, it ended up creating a very memorable role, even though it's pretty small. It's one that stuck with me enough to want to make a drawing of it. So yeah, I think he did a great job on that one day of recording. As I said, it's a really small role, but it was originally a little bit more. There was a cut scene. From what I can gather, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I found it in several citations around the net, that originally there was a scene in which Gaston and LeFou go and visit Monsieur Dark in the asylum in order to hatch their plan, and you hear, committed people in the asylum laughing and shrieking and all that stuff, and it was deemed to be too dark for Disney and too dark for the tenor of the film. Probably was a good idea that they cut it out if that did indeed occur. I've never seen any images or animatics or stills or mock-ups for that, so either I'm not sure if it was an actual cutscene or if it was something that they were planning on doing and just never formally animated or something like that. I'm not sure, but I did read it in several sources, so apparently that was in the original movie. But it was, as I say, a small role. There's just a couple of scenes. The one scene where Gaston hatches his plan, and then where they actually lock up Maurice when he's trying to convince everybody that the Beast is real. But yeah, if you remember this little role, it's probably because Tony Jay's voice is so distinct. I'm going to list some of his roles for Disney. This isn't exhaustive, but there are many. He was involved a lot in Disney Afternoon properties. So if you grew up with the Disney Afternoon in the late 80s, early 90s, like I did, you'll be familiar with several of these roles. He voiced Shere Khan in Tailspin, the Tailspin version of Shere Khan. He voiced the magical wishing starfish in an episode of The Little Mermaid, the animated series. He voiced the Grim Reaper in an episode of Darkwing Duck. He voiced both the character Khartoum and a dark sorcerer in Aladdin, the animated series. He was the voice of the Jungle Inspector on an episode of Timon and Pumbaa. He voiced Wraith, the Dragon Lord, in the Mighty Ducks animated show. And if you've never seen that one, it is a pretty bonkers show that involves... That's not Bonkers, the show Bonkers. That involves, hockey playing ducks and dragons from another planet. And one of them is... The leader is Wraith, and he was voiced by Tony Jay. Jay also voiced Anubis, a character called Anubis in Gargoyles. He voiced a character called Dr. Animus in Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. He voiced Dr. Werner von Braun in a show called Lloyd in Space. And he also voiced Dr. Rosenthal in Recess School's Out. And he did many other smaller roles in a lot of those Disney Afternoon shows. He was also the narrator in Treasure Planet, the film Treasure Planet, and he also was the narrator in the English dub version of Studio Ghibli's Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. There are multiple English dubs for that movie because it was distributed in English by two different studios. There's the 1985 New World Studios version of the English dub of that film, which is not the one that features Tony Jay. And then in 2005, Disney recast the whole cast for their version, their English dub version of the movie, and Tony Jay is the narrator in the Disney version from 2005, the Disney version of the dubbing. And then a bunch of people may also remember Tony Jay as the voice of the character Megabyte in a Canadian computer-animated TV show called Reboot that ran from about 1994-95 to 2001-ish. And that was a relatively known show and role. If you were a fan of that, you may recognize that show. So he did a lot of stuff like throughout the 90s, especially. I'm not familiar with some of those. I was a big Disney Afternoon fan, and some of those smaller roles that are bit roles in episodes, I don't totally remember. I definitely remember Wraith from the Mighty Ducks. And I definitely remember Shere Khan from Tailspin. I love Tailspin. So yeah, it'll be cool to go back and comb through Disney Plus and see if I can find some of these episodes to listen to his work. But if you would like to as well, those are some of the ones that I could find. So go ahead and check them out. Another cool thing that he was the voice of is he voiced the Magic Mirror, the Evil Queen's Magic Mirror in the show Fantasmic at Disneyland. It's like a nighttime spectacular. He voiced the Magic Mirror in that show when it originally came out, like in the 90s. So he's done a lot of stuff. He's another one of those people that I don't know if he is officially a Disney legend or not, but he probably should be because he's got a pretty big volume of work, particularly in the 80s and 90s, for voicing over things for Disney. And they used him to great effect because he had a very distinctive voice. And, doing Claude Frollo and, the narration of Treasure Planet, and then, of course, all of the Disney Afternoon stuff, and Monsieur Dark, and, the list goes on as you just watched me list them all. So that's the work of the late Tony Jay, who's unfortunately no longer with us, but he left us a pretty cool body of work. for a guy who really did a bit part, but made it count, made it last. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way that this drawing turned out. It was really fun to draw the bony fingers and the getting the bow tie just right and the saggy eyes. It really attracted me to draw it and use it as one of the villains for this year, because it's just a really cool looking character, a really cool design. So I was happy to do this one. Really glad with how the drawing turned out, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Tony Jay, and this tiny little bit role from Beauty and the Beast. If you ever noticed it in the film as much as I did. So thanks for watching this. I'll be back tomorrow with another one of these drawings. And until then, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.